Section 8 of the Letters of Lord Nelson to Lady Hamilton, Volume 1. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Letters of Lord Nelson to Lady Hamilton, Volume 1, by Horatio Nelson, Section 8, Letters 37 to 39. Letter 37. Victory, September the 10th, 1803. My dearest Emma, what can I send you, buffeting the stormy Gulf of Lyons? Nothing but my warmest affection, in return for all your goodness to me and mine. I have sent to Naples to try to get some shawls from the King's manufactory, and have requested Mr. Falconet to ask his wife to choose some for you, and also some fine Venetian chains. I only wish, my dear Emma, that I knew what you would like, and I would order them with real pleasure. Therefore, pray tell me. We have so very little communication with the Mediterranean world. Malta and Toulon are in separate worlds. It takes, on the average, 6 or 7 weeks to get an answer to a letter, and in 15 to 20 days, by the French papers, which we get from Paris, we have news from London. Not the best side of the question, you may be sure, but enough to give us an idea of how matters go on. I am of opinion that we shall have a peace much sooner than is generally expected, and that will be, to me, the very highest pleasure in this world, to return to Merton and your dear beloved society. Then I agree with you, that I would not give sixpence to call the King my uncle. I have wrote again to Gibbs about my Bronté affairs, and the copy of a letter to Mrs. Grafer I will send you, if I can, but you must preserve it, for I have no other. It may be necessary, situated as I am, to keep her in good humour, for £1,000 may be easily sold off the estate, and I never the wiser. However, you will see what I have said. I have wrote to Mr. Elliot about Sabatello. What a rascal he must be! Gaetano is going to Naples, and I shall tell him, but of course he would rather favour Sabatello, his brother-in-law, than Julia. I send you, my dearest Emma, £100, which you will dispose of as follows: a present for yourself, and, if you like, a trifle to the servants; something to the poor of Merton; something for Mrs. Cadogan, Miss Connor, Charlotte, etc., etc. I only send this as a trifling remembrance from me, whose whole soul is at Merton. September the 16th. The day after I wrote the former part of this letter, Mr. Scott received from Venice, and desired to present to you, 2 very handsome Venetian chains, received from Venice. This I would not suffer, for I allow no one to make my own Emma presents, but her Nelson. Therefore he will be paid for them, but your obligation is not the less to him. He is a very worthy, excellent, modest man, and an excellent secretary. Dr. Scott is at times wrong in the head. Absolutely too much learning has turned him. But we all go on very well. I had a letter from Gibbs about Bronté, and from Noble, which will begin another letter. Only believe me at all times, sides, and ends, most faithfully yours, forever, Nelson and Bronté. Letter 38. September the 26th, 1803. My dearest Emma, we have had, for these 14 days past, nothing but gales of wind and a heavy sea. However, as our ships have suffered no damage, I hope to be able to keep the sea all the winter. Nothing but dire necessity shall force me to that out-of-the-way place, Malta. If I had depended upon that island for supplies to the fleet, we must all have been knocked up long ago, for Sir Richard Bickerton sailed from Malta the same day I left Portsmouth, so that we have been a pretty long cruise, and, if I had only to look to Malta for supplies, our ship's companies would have been done for long ago. However, by management, I have got supplies from Spain and also from France, but it appears that we are almost shut out from Spain, for they begin to be very uncivil to our ships. However, I suppose by this time something is settled. But I never hear from England. My last letters are July the 6th, near 3 months. But as I get French newspapers occasionally, we guess how matters are going on. I have wrote Mr. Gibbs, again a long history about Bronté, and I hope, if General Acton will do nothing for me, that he will settle something. But I know, whatever is settled, I shall be the loser. Till next year the debt will not be paid off. How... Letter 39. Victory off Toulon, October the 18th, 1803. My dearest Emma, your truly kind and affectionate letters from July 17th to August the 24th all arrived safe in the Childers the 6th of this month. Believe me, my beloved Emma, that I am truly sensible of all your love and affection, which is reciprocal. You have, from the variety of incidents passing before you, much to tell me, and besides you have that happy knack of making everything you write interesting. Here I am, one day precisely like the other, except the difference of a gale of wind or not. Since September the 1st, we have not had 4 fine days, and if the French do not come out soon, I fear some of my ships will cry out. You are very good to send me your letters to read. Mrs. D. is a damned pimping bitch. What has she to do with your love? She would have pimped for Lord B. or Lord L., Captain M.N. of, or anyone else. She is all vanity, fancies herself beautiful, witty, in short, like you. She be damned. As I wrote you, the consulship at Civita Vecchia will not in itself pay their lodgings, and the bad air will tip her off. There will be no Lord Bristol's table. He tore his last will a few hours before his death. It is said that it was giving everything to those devils of Italians about him. I wish he may have given Mrs. Dennis anything, but I do not think it. And as for you, dear Emma, as long as I can, I don't want any of their gifts. As for old Hugh, he may put you into his will, or scratch you out as he pleases. I care not. If Mr. Addington gives you the pension, it is well, but do not let it fret you. Have you not Merton? It is clear, the first purchase, and my dear Horatio is provided for, and I hope, one of these days, that you will be my own Duchess of Bronté, and then a fig for them all. I have just had a letter from Gibbs, of which I send you a copy. You will see what interest he is taking about Bronté. I begin to think, without some assistance like his, that I should never have touched a farthing. It will be 1805 before I touch the estate. Neither principal or interest of the 7,000 ounces have been paid, and it is now 8,000 ounces debt. You will see Gibbs at last has fixed on sending his daughter home, and I shall be glad of so good an opportunity of obliging him, as it will naturally tie him to my interest. He was a great fool not to have sent the child with you, as you wished. I am glad to find, my dear Emma, that you mean to take Horatia home. Ay, she is like her mother, will have her own way, or kick up a devil of a dust. But you will cure her. I am afraid I should spoil her, for I am sure I would shoot any one who would hurt her. She was always fond of my watch, and very probably I might have promised her one. Indeed, I gave her one, which cost 6d. But I go nowhere to get anything pretty, therefore do not think me neglectful. I send you Noble's letter, therefore I hope you will get your cases in good order. They have had some narrow escapes. I am glad you liked Southend. How that Coffin could come over, and palaver, Rowley, Keith, etc., and Coffin to abuse the Earl. Now, I can tell you that he is the Earl's spy. It is Coffin who has injured Sir Andrew Hammond so much, and his custom is to abuse the Earl, to get people to speak out, and then the Earl takes his measures accordingly. To me it is nothing, thank God. There can be no tales told of my cheating, or, I hope, neglecting my duty. Whilst I serve, I will serve well and closely. When I want rest, I will go to Merton. You know, my dear Emma, that I am never well when it blows hard. Therefore imagine what a cruise off Toulon is. Even in summer time we have had a hard gale every week, and 2 days heavy swell. It would kill you and myself to see you, much less possible to have Charlotte, Horatia, etc. on board ship. And I, that have given orders to carry no women to sea in the Victory, to be the first to break them. And as to Malta, I may never see it, unless we have an engagement, and perhaps not then, for if it is complete, I may go home for 3 months to see you. But if you was at Malta, I might absolutely miss you, by leaving the Mediterranean without warning. The other day we had a report the French were out, and seen steering to the westward. We were as far as Minorca, when the alarm proved false. Therefore, my dearest, beloved Emma, although I should be the happiest of men to live and die with you, yet my chances of seeing you is much more certain by your remaining at Merton than wandering wherever I may never go, and certainly never to stay 48 hours. You cannot, I am sure, more ardently long to see me than I do to be with you, and if the war goes on, it is my intention to get leave to spend the next winter in England. But I verily believe that long before that time we shall have peace. As for living in Italy, that is entirely out of the question. Nobody cares for us there, and if I had Bronté, which, thank God, I shall not, it would cost me a fortune to go there, and be tormented out of my life. I should never settle my affairs there. I know, my own dear Emma, that if she will let her reason have fair play, will say I am right. But she is, like Horatia, very angry if she cannot have her own way. Her Nelson is called upon, in the most honourable manner, to defend his country. Absence, to us, is equally painful; but if I had either stayed at home, or neglected my duty abroad, would not my Emma have blushed for me? She could never have heard of my praises, and how the country looks up. I am writing, my dear Emma, to reason the point with you, and I am sure you will see it in its true light. But I have said my say on this subject, and will finish. I have received your letter with Lord William's and Mr. Kemble's about Mr. Palmer. He is also recommended by the Duke of Clarence, and, he says, by desire of the Prince of Wales. I have, without him, 26 to be made captains, and list every day increasing. It is not one whole French fleet that can get through it. I shall probably offend more than I can oblige. Such is always the case. Like the tickets, those who get them feel they have a right to them, and those who do not get them feel offended forever. But I cannot help it. I shall endeavour to do what is right in every situation, and some ball may soon close all my accounts with this world of care and vexation. But never mind, my own dear beloved Emma, if you are true to me, I care not, and approve all my actions. However, as you say, I approve of them myself, therefore, probably, I am right. Poor Reverend Mr. Scott is, I fear, in a very bad way. His head has been turned by too much learning, and the stroke of lightning will never let him be right again. The Secretary Scott is a treasure, and I am very well mounted. Hardy is everything I could wish or desire. Our days pass so much alike, that having described one, you have them all. We now breakfast by candlelight, and all retire at 8 o'clock to bed. Naples, I fancy, is in a very bad way in regard to money. They have not, or pretend not to have, enough to pay their officers, and I very believe, if Acton was to give up his place, that it would become a province of France. Only think of Buonaparte's writing to the Queen, to desire her influence to turn out Acton. She answered properly, at least so says Mr. Elliot, who knows more of Naples than any of us, God help him, and General Acton has, I believe, more power than ever. By Gibbs's letter, I see he has sent over about my accounts at Bronté. He can have no interest in being unfriendly to me. Why should he? I want no great matters from him, and he can want nothing from me that it is not my duty to give his sovereigns. Therefore, why should he be against us? For my part, my conduct will not alter, whether he is or not. Our friend Sir Alexander is a very great diplomatic character, and even an admiral must not know what he is negotiating about, although you will scarcely believe that the Bey of Tunis sent the man at my desire. You shall judge, viz. The Tunisian envoy is still here negotiating. He is a moderate man, and apparently the best disposed of any I ever did business with. Could even the oldest diplomatic character be drier? I hate such parade of nonsense, but I will turn from such stuff. You ask me, do you do right to give Charlotte things? I shall only say, my dear Emma, whatever you do in that way, I shall always approve. I only wish I had more power than I have, but somehow my mind was not sharp enough for prize money. Lord Keith would have made £20,000, and I have not made 6,000. Poor Mr. Este! How I pity him! But what shall I do with him? However, if he comes, I shall show him all the kindness in my power. October the 22nd. The vessel is just going off. I have not a scrap of news. Only be assured of my most affectionate regard. Remember me kindly to Charlotte. Shall always love those that are good to Horatia. I will write to her by another opportunity. Remember me to Mrs. Cadogan. You may be sure I do not forget Charles, who has not been well. Captain Capel is very good to him. I am ever, for ever, my dearest Emma, your most faithful and affectionate Nelson and Brontë. End of Section 8.